Today I'm going to do a tutorial for these wonderful hexagon motifs. The idea for the motif came from a top that I saw Miley Cyrus wearing about 2 years ago maybe. So it's not really a design, it's more of a hack. The top that Miley's wearing, I'll insert a picture here, has a different colour for each round, but I worked out how to make the hexagon look the same, and when I was doing the working out I kind of thought that they look nicer with just one colour for rounds 2 and round 3. You can of course try it either way. So get some yarn and a hook and we'll get started. The yarn I'm using is HEXIS Katona and I'm using a 3mm hook. So you start with a chain 5 and you join that chain 5 together to form a loop. Then you chain 4 and work 4 double trebles. These are trebles if you are in the US or if you use US terminology. I am based in the UK and I use UK terminology. So for me these are double trebles and you are working 4 of them into the loop. And a double treble is just, oh thank you Tilly, a double treble is just when you wrap your yarn twice round the hook. Excuse me for sniffing, and also if my hands, I'm at a really awkward angle to film this. So there you go. A 4 chain and 4 double trebles. Then chain 4. And then work 5 double trebles into the loop. Cover my yarn up as I go along. 1, 2, 3, get out of the way, ball. So if you work over your yarn end as you're working these double trebles, when you get to the end of the round, it's kind of already sewn itself in and you can just snip the yarn. It is a bit fiddly because obviously you have that little dangly bit of yarn coming with you as you're working, but chain 4, it does help with sewing in ends. Okay, one more group of 5 double trebles. This HEXIS Katona is a cotton yarn, and sometimes when you're using cotton yarns the threads can come a bit loose, so you just have to make sure you catch all of the threads. So you chain 4 to finish off round 1 and you join with a slip stitch to the top of the beginning chain 4, and you have your first round. So for round 2, you cut off your first colour and you get your second colour and join it where you joined your last round, so in that top stitch of the chain 4. So just join your yarn in there however you like to join it. I like to do a little knot, and in that same stitch, I'm going to try and carry my yarn as well, so sorry if it looks a bit fiddly, but in that same stitch work a double crochet. If you're in the US, that is a single crochet. Okay, and then work a double crochet into each of the 5 stitches. There should be 4 left. 1, 2. Again, I'm carrying yarn so that I don't have so much to sew in at the end. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Okay, so you have worked a double crochet into each of the double trebles. I'm just going to snip that yarn, otherwise it's going to annoy me. Okay. So when you get to your next gap, you're going to work 5 double trebles into the beginning loop, the beginning chain 5 loop. Now it's a bit tricky and it feels a bit weird. The trick is you feel like you want to make them quite loose so that they come up as tall as the double crochets here, but I think that they look neater and they work better if you try to work them as normal a size as possible, if you see what I mean. I don't know if that makes sense, but we're doing 5 of them in here, and you can kind of see that I'm not trying to make them loose. I'm trying to keep them, I say trying because it's a bit fiddly, trying to keep them fairly normal sized. So you should have something like that. Okay, and then you work a double crochet into the top of each of the next 5. The first one can be a bit tricky to find. And if you're in the US, these are single crochets, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, and then we repeat the same thing again. And then 5 double crochet again, 5, and then 5 double trebles into that last space. Okay, and you have finished. Join with a slip stitch to your very first double crochet, and it probably feels when you're making that round like, I don't know, it always feels like you're trying to cram an awful lot of crochet into this one loop, but when you get to the end of the round it just seems to magically work out. So that is the end of round 2. So for round 3 we don't break off the yarn and we chain 4, which serves as our first double treble. Treble if you are in US. We then work, one double treble across the top of the next 4 double crochets. If I can actually crochet today, that would be nice. Thank you. Okay, so that is what we have to start with, and what we're going to do is in the gap, let me show you the exact gap I'm talking about. In the gap in between the 2 colours, you will work 1 double treble. So actually in that space, 1 double treble, 2 chains, and another double treble. Okay, and then we work 5 double trebles again. Make sure you get your first one in the right place. That's 1. Two. No, that's not 2. Yes, that is 2. And then in the gap in between the 2 colours, again we work 1 double treble, 2 chain, and 1 double treble. And we just continue like that all the way around. So when you get to the end of your round, you work the last double treble, 2 chain, double treble into the gap in between the 2 colours. And then you join with the top of the beginning chain 4. And that is how you make a Miley Hexie. Okay, so to join your hexes is really simple. You can do it whichever way you want to, but essentially all that you do is you join the 7, each section of 7 double trebles, you just join them together. And I do it using a crochet join. You can sew the hexes together. You just place them with the right sides facing and line up the double trebles, and then I join the yarn in. Sorry, let me make sure that I'm showing you what I'm doing. So I join the yarn in to my 2 first ones, and that's where's the pull it tight, and then that creates the first join, and then I just go into the corresponding stitches and work a double crochet, a single crochet if you are in the US. This creates, it does create a slight ridge. I'll show you when I've finished. But it creates quite a flat fabric, and I think that the ridge on the back, I don't think that the ridge on the back is too bad. I used to always sew my blankets, and I've started using this joining method, and I really like it. So that's it. Snip off your yarn, and if you can see, it is quite a flat join, and the ridge on the back isn't terrible. Let me show you with this one. So it's quite flat, and that's the back. So you do have a slight ridge, but I don't mind it. And that is the Miley Hexie.